Hi everyone, this is Cindy with J Spence Creations. Appreciate you joining me on my YouTube channel. Today I will show you how to make some of the basic customization changes in Canva for a template that I have created. It is for sale in my Etsy shop, which is J Spence Creations LLC. So if you have purchased from me, you will get a link. In this particular case, I'm going to use the wedding activity mat for kids. It really could be any Canva template that I am using that you can use this information for. So in this case, you would have a link. Go ahead and use template for new design. That will bring up the template. In this case, you may see this. I am currently using my free version and not using the app that I have downloaded to my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and say no thanks. If you have the Canva app, you can go ahead and open it in the Canva app. I'm just using it through the browser for my purposes. So we're going to focus on a few different items today. So basically, I'll show you how to make a change in the font. I'll show you how to make a change in the font size. I will show you how to make a change in the color, and then also show you how to change out graphic elements. So first of all, we'll start with font. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and type out a name. So I'll say Abby and Sam. So we'll go ahead and make the change. That is actually how you change any of the wording that you need to. You basically just select, you see the purple box here. This is selecting the item. If I double click, and it will show everything is selected, and then I just go ahead and type. Now in this case, I am going to first focus on changing the font. I do have Bobby Jones selected. I also have an effect selected. So if you notice over here that this is in like a light purple, this is showing me that I have an effect. And so what I'm going to do is show you that really quickly. I'm going to change it to none right now, but basically I had it as a hollow item. It just gave another focal point for a child to go ahead and draw or color in while they were using this activity sheet. But this was just something that I wanted to do. You can remove that, but that is how you do that. So again, I'll go back and select. So you see this no longer has an effect selected because it says none. So just to call that piece out. Now, if you go over and select Bobby Jones, so this left field here is the font type. So they have a variety of different names. You may have some that are your favorites. You may have no idea, or anywhere in between, and that's okay. You actually can scroll down and you can take a look. So in my case, I have a few that are used in the document. I have a few that I've used recently, and then also you can go down and it will show you popular fonts. If you went back up to the top, you could also go by style. So let's say you wanted something in a handwriting style. It's going to pull those up and give you some of the top items there. If you use the back key, maybe you wanted corporate. Those are what I would call more minimalistic, more straightforward. So if you go back again, you can do the display. You can see all of these. They have different types of fonts. They do show you, so they have the name and also what it looks like. Now, if you see a carrot like this, it's telling you there are a variety of different options underneath it. So there's regular, medium, semi-bold, bold, and so forth. So this does give you, if you have that carrot, you can expand that, and it does show you additional items. Most of the time they have to do with what if it's bold, medium, regular, thin, that's typically what you'll see. All right, so if I scroll down, I do want to call something out. You may see some items that are grayed out and show a crown next to it. Now, there are two different things. So with fonts, you actually, if you try to select this, it is going to tell you you have to upgrade to this feature. Now, that is kind of opposite of what happens in the graphic version, where when we'll get into that in just a moment, but if you select a graphic or a graphic element that is not a free element and is a pro element, you do have the option to pay for it. However, for a font, you do not. So I'm going to scroll back up, and let's just say we want to change this to finger paint. Now, as you see, it left the size selected that we had, which was 75. Now, in this case, we have it's now too close to the graphic elements. You can do a few things here. Basically, you could always move this. I'll move that back because actually the whole purpose of this is to show you what you can do to make this smaller. So in this case, you have a few options. You see in the second box over from the type of font, you have a size. So you do have decrease, increase. You can also highlight here, and let's say you wanted to go to 60, that readjust it. Or you can also drag out the corner, and that will make that larger too. Now, one thing you might notice is when you do that, let's say if you drag out from here, you notice it's dragging out to the left. Well, that maybe isn't what you want. It won't be centered any longer. So point two of this is if you do change that, you are going to want to center. Now, what you can do is if you left click and drag, you see how it makes a 4 arrow. It is showing you that you're dragging this box. And if you see there is a purple line down the center, that means that this is perfectly centered and ready to go. You can also, I'll move it over to the left, you can also go up here to position, which you see over here on the right side. Click on that, and if you look under arrange, now you may be in layers, this does some different things too, but if you're under arrange, go to center. Now if you go to middle, it actually will try to bring it to the middle of the page. This actually goes to the center of the page, and if you click that, it has automatically centered it. You are good to go. So those are a few items to know there. Next, I will show you, in this case, I have these highlighted in red. That was intentional, and that was to draw your eye to see these are the elements that must be changed. So typically with my templates, I try to make them really ready to go, but giving you the ability to customize. So the items that are in red are denoting that these are things you want to change. So if you go back and remember, we had name and name. Not something you want to put, that's not very customized. We do have that called out in red so that you make sure, just like we have the month, day, and year called out and name down here, just really to call those out to make sure you change them. But when you change them, you don't want them necessarily. It might be something that you want to do, but you probably want to make it look like it was made to be part of this. So in this case, you'll see text color over here. So again, this is the font, this is the font size, this is the text color. So you are going to change this. In this case, the rest of it is primarily black. There are a few dark gray elements. And the reason I know that is because if you see here, it says document colors. So it is telling you, it is picking up the colors that are in this document. This is the bright red that is called out here. It is calling that out so you know what document colors are used. In this case, I want to change that to black. So quick and easy. It's very easy to kind of manipulate and change through what you want to customize. Now for our next one, I mentioned graphic elements. So let's say I'll come down here and say the cake. I don't like this cake. I don't want this one. I want to look and see what else there is. So again, select it, which is a left click. I've got it now where you see the purple line around it. I'm going to go ahead and hit the delete key. So it is gone. You can get it back if you do undo. It will pull it back. You can redo, remove it. I'm going to go over to elements and I'm going to type in wedding cake. Now you'll see that I've searched it before, so I'm going to go ahead and use wedding cake outline. And why I use outline is it really fits the visual that I'm using here, the aesthetic. So that's what I'm selecting. If you change things up, you can change it however you want. And really that outline is intended to be yet another element for a child to use. They can color. It's not, it's not too elaborate. They can go in and color and see what they want to do. So you remember I mentioned the fonts. So when we tried to click on a font that had this crown on it, it said you had to upgrade. This is different. This is what I was mentioning just a minute ago. With a graphic element, it will give you the opportunity to use this. However, there is a charge, and they will tell you if you hover over it, it's telling you, hey, you can use this premium image. You can either upgrade to Canva Pro. If you do that, it is a pretty big fee. So I would say I would not recommend doing that if this is the only thing you're doing. If you really don't have any other need, really no need to do that. There are other elements that are free that you can select. You may have to kind of scroll through and see what is available, but please don't feel like you have to go to the pro version. That really isn't something that is necessary. Or it does give you the option, as you can see, you can pay US $1 for a pro content license for each graphic that you use. Let's say you have 5 different graphics that have the pro element. They will charge you $5 US as you check out. You can't trick it. You can't try to print directly from here. You do have to download, and so you would have to pay that fee. But let's say in this case, I'm going to go ahead and use this. This is nice. It's got a lot of white space where a child could color. I'm going to pull that in. And as you see, it really dropped it right in the middle of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and left click, and I'm going to drag it and move it. Now I want to show you something though really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to click this again. Let's say you accidentally clicked out and then you couldn't find how to get this. A quick way to find something if you can't, sometimes you can't get the right thing to select. Go up here to position, go over to layers, and it drops down and shows you each of these elements and where they are located. So let's say you know it's the cake you want to grab. You left click, highlight here. It gives you that purple box again, and you can drag and drop. So that's just another way. You can also move things. Sometimes elements are behind each other. This gives you a really quick way to find the items that you want and select them. So that's just another bonus tip for you. In this case, this cake is too large, so it is over this. I want to make it smaller. However, if you didn't want to, you could always move some other things out of the way. In this particular instance, I'm going to go ahead and click. You see it turns into a double-sided arrow. I am just going to drag down. What that does is it moves it so that it keeps the same aspect ratio. So these that have only the four corners, if you move them, they are going to get larger and get smaller at the same aspect ratio. So this is the size I want. It looks good. However, it's not centered, so I'm going to drag it over, and you'll start to see some elements or some lines that line up. So if you wanted it to align with, different things, you can see the purple dotted lines. That's saying it is aligned with the far left of that heart maze. That's not really where I want it. That doesn't really line up. If I move it over, you can start to see it's aligning with some different things. Here is where you can see that it is really aligned with the center of the heart maze. It is aligned with the color of the cake message that I had put up here and intentionally placed where it is centered kind of there. So this is what I want. I'm going to go ahead and click off of that. I have now replaced the graphic element there to something different. Now you can use the same theory for all of these. If you want to change these out, feel free. Same methodology. It, works for all of this. You would just select it, hit delete, and put in what you want. All right, so from here, those are the main things. Again, there's a lot more to learn on Canva. This is not intended to be a long tutorial. It would take forever, but those are some ways. If you do want to click in and change any of the text, you can do that. The word find might be a little different. Just you have to change letters. I did make that and put in the words intentionally, so you would have to kind of go through and find what you want to remove and make sure that you've got those where they can be word find. So it's a little bit more complex, but not that hard. But those are things that if you don't want it at all, you can delete it. There are a lot of different activities that you can place in here. But again, I tried to make it where it was usable other than a few edits. But whatever you want to do, however you want to customize it, however you see fit, it is yours to adapt and adjust however you choose. So let's say we're ready to go. We like this. I'm going to just pretend these are filled in. All right, so I'm going to select PDF print. From here, you really don't need to select any of these. These are items that you may need for different things. For the purposes of this, nothing is needed. I do have multiple pages. That's just because I have additional pages on this, so don't worry about that. If you only have one you want to select, you always can go down here and select only the page you want. But basically, this one you can also, for the color profile, if you are a free user, the only color profile you have is RGB. That's not a big deal. I won't go into the differences here. But for black and white, it doesn't matter. So RGB is fine. It really typically is across the board unless you're trying to get some intricate coloring. So you'll go ahead and hit download. Here it's giving me a badge and telling me I have printed or I have created more than 10 designs. So that is something you can watch for if that's something you're interested in. It does keep track, but basically it shows you that you have gone ahead and downloaded here. So it is complete. So I will go up to my downloads. It pulls that in. You can see here that it is a PDF by the last part of this URL. It's telling you it's the PDF. Again, you cannot. So one thing you cannot do is just print directly out of this. You can't take this and then just go ahead and think it won't just send directly to your printer. You do have to download it. So that's why we went over to the PDF. And basically from here, it does give you the options to print. Everything is in a PDF version, which means it's kind of locked down. You can't make any changes from here. If you were to want to make a change, you would have to go back into Canva, make a change, and re-download. So once you have a PDF, just know this is kind of basically like a snapshot of what you were doing. That's the snapshot that's ready. It is not editable without certain software, but that is something you would want to go back into Canva, which you can. You can go back in and start to change anything that you have. From here, you just print. You can either print at home, you can print at your local print shop. I also have included information for Prints of Love. I do have a 10% discount for any items $49 and over, so that's an option too. So just, however it is easiest for you, however you are comfortable with. Some people have a printer at home, some people don't. So, that kind of depends on how you want that to be handled. But the most important thing is you have a lot of ability to change as little or as much as you want. It is yours to make how you think that the bride and groom would want in this case, or how whatever occasion you may be doing. We're thrilled to have you as a customer or as an interested customer. If you have any questions, please reach out, and otherwise enjoy.